John Stuart Mill's Principles of Political Economy is a classic work that breaks down the fundamental principles of economics in a straightforward and accessible manner. At its core, the book emphasizes production as the lifeblood of the economy, highlighting labor and capital as the foundational elements necessary for this process. Labor refers to the human effort involved in creating goods or services, while capital represents the accumulated resources that support this production. For instance, a farmer requires both labor in the form of workers and capital in the form of a tractor to work the fields. The combination of these elements is crucial for initiating the production process. A significant aspect of production discussed by Mill is the distinction between productive and unproductive labor. Productive labor directly contributes to the creation of goods or services, whereas unproductive labor supports the process indirectly. For example, a baker working in a bakery provides productive labor, while the accountant managing the bakery's finances offers a more indirect contribution. Both types of labor are essential as they support various sectors of the economy and ensure its continuous operation. Capital's influence on production is substantial. It accumulates through savings and is constantly reproduced, which explains how countries can recover after wars or natural disasters. For example, after a war, a country's capital investments play a crucial role in revitalizing the economy. By shedding light on these concepts, Mill helps us understand how economic systems function. Mill also explores how the core elements of the economy impact value. Production costs, especially in sectors reliant on natural resources like agriculture and mining, tend to drive prices up. However, technological advancements in production can sometimes counterbalance this trend. For instance, modern machinery and techniques in agriculture can reduce costs and limit price increases. Economic progress and population growth significantly affect rents, profits, and wages. If population and capital grow while production techniques remain stagnant, the pressure on resources increases, leading to higher rents. Conversely, if production methods improve and the population remains stable, economic balance can be achieved. In the real world, the mechanization following the Industrial Revolution raised workers' wages while stabilizing profit margins. Mill's analyses provide a valuable framework for understanding the complexities of modern economies. Mill's insights into economics also delve into how the mercantilist system historically shaped state economic policies. During this period, countries believed wealth was measured by the possession of precious metals like gold and silver. Thus, they aimed to increase exports and limit imports to accumulate as much money as possible. However, this approach mistakenly assumed that trade was not mutually beneficial. In reality, a country can not only sell without buying, as trade fundamentally involves the exchange of goods and services. This misunderstanding heightened competition among nations and led to protectionist policies. For instance, countries like France and England banned the export of precious metals. However, such policies disrupted the natural flow of trade and ultimately led to economic stagnation. Over time, economists realized that money is merely a medium of exchange and that real wealth lies in the abundance of goods and services. This new understanding paved the way for modern economic theories developed by thinkers like Adam Smith. Smith argued that labor in every sector creates wealth, thereby dismantling the defenses of the mercantilist system and revolutionizing economic thought. While discussing the historical development of economic thought, Mill also touches on concepts like capital accumulation, money, and interest. He criticizes government attempts to regulate industry and advocates for individuals to determine the best use of their capital. He suggests that when a country's neighbors are prosperous, it too is likely to be more prosperous, highlighting the mutual benefits of economic relationships. Additionally, Mill addresses Thomas Malthus's population theory. Malthus proposed that population can grow rapidly and outpace food production, leading to increased poverty and misery. To prevent this, Malthus suggested that people should exercise restraint. These ideas sparked significant debate on poverty and population growth, discussions that continue to this day. Finally, Mill examines the contributions of David Ricardo to economic theories. Ricardo focused on land use and rent theory, explaining that different land qualities yield different returns, affecting rent prices. This provides important insights into the efficient use of economic resources. Mill's work makes economic theories more comprehensible and accessible, maintaining its influence today. Focusing on the development of economic theories, Mill also discusses the methodological debates among different schools of economics. Traditional English economists often began with theoretical assumptions and tested them against real events, while economists from the German historical school argued that economic laws could only be discovered through observation and data analysis. This methodological debate has led to a more realistic application of economics and encouraged broader data collection and analysis. Mill also highlights the debate over free trade versus protectionism. Figures like Frédéric Bastiat criticized protectionist policies, viewing them as akin to socialism, and advocated for free trade. These discussions laid the foundations for economic policies that remain relevant today. On the topic of economic value theory, Mill considers Henry Charles Carey's ideas, which reshape the definition of value based on production costs and resource efficiency. Carey's theory suggests that harmony between capitalists and the working class could increase, adding a new dimension to discussions on economic justice and equality. These ideas continue to inspire contemporary economic thought. General Francis A. Walker's argument that wages are paid from production rather than capital accumulation is also noteworthy. This challenges the traditional wage fund theory by suggesting that workers' wages come directly from the outputs of productive activities. This perspective offers a more dynamic view of the economy and underscores the importance of production. Henry George, on the other hand, rejects Malthus's population theory and emphasizes that increased production raises the demand for land and thus its value. George argues that rising land values do not enhance general welfare because the increased cost is borne by others through rent or purchase. In this context, George's proposal for land nationalization emerges as a radical and intriguing idea. The growing interest in economic research in America during this period is also highlighted. Developments in universities and new publications contributed to the spread of economic awareness. This was an important step toward increasing interest in economic issues and reaching a broader audience. Mill underscores the fundamental requirements of production, emphasizing the importance of labor and suitable natural objects. However, when time is considered, capital also becomes a necessary component. Mill notes that labor involves not just physical effort, but mental effort as well. For example, the journey of bread to our table requires the labor of not only the baker, but also the farmer, miller, and even the transporter. This illustrates how various jobs are interconnected. Natural objects, another requirement of production, may seem unlimited in some cases, but are practically limited. For instance, while land may be abundant in new settlements, arable land is limited, enhancing the value of natural resources. These concepts form the foundation of modern economics. Mill discusses the role of productive and unproductive labor in the economic system. At first glance, unproductive jobs may appear not to contribute wealth to society. However, Mill points out that these jobs also contribute to society in different ways. For instance, a teacher or clergy member may not produce goods directly, but contributes to the moral and intellectual development of society. Such jobs can be indirectly productive by enhancing people's quality of life. Mill also classifies consumption as productive or unproductive. Productive consumption contributes to economic growth by improving a worker's health and productivity. On the other hand, luxury and leisure consumption may not directly boost production, but are important for individual satisfaction and social development. To illustrate, a farmer increases economic value by producing food directly, while an artist contributes to the cultural wealth of society. Both roles are valuable in different ways. Mill's exploration of the relationship between capital and production is also significant. He emphasizes that capital meets the living and production needs of workers in sectors like industry and agriculture. For instance, a farmer may need to pay several quarters of rent before harvesting, and these payments are made from his capital. This highlights the critical role of capital in supporting workers' livelihoods. Mill asserts that capital is necessary for production and that an increase in capital allows for more labor employment. Without capital, Workers cannot be productive because the necessary materials and tools for production cannot be provided. Furthermore, he suggests that as capital increases, labor can grow without limit. Considering the role of capital and consumption in the economy, Mill argues that the savings and accumulation of the wealthy are necessary for employing the poor. If everyone immediately consumed their income, capital accumulation would not occur, and creating new jobs would be impossible. This is evident in everyday life. For example, if a factory owner chooses to save profits and invest in new machinery, it can create more job opportunities and raise the overall standard of living. The most important lessons from this book are: first, the need to balance labor and capital to facilitate production. As economic systems are not just about producing goods and services, but also about general societal welfare and development. Second, the correct use and accumulation of capital are critical for economic growth and employment. Third, understanding the historical development of economic theories can help us grasp the complexity of modern economics. Fourth, recognizing the mutual benefits of economic relationships and evaluating them from a broader perspective is essential. Lastly, Mill's analyses provide a valuable perspective for understanding the social and economic impacts of economic policies. These lessons lay a crucial foundation for spreading economic thought to a wider audience and enhancing comprehension.